At the B20, the business advisory arm of the G20, youth voices are going to be taking center stage, shaping global business priorities and opportunities. For more on this now, we're joined by Denise Rapitse, who's co-head of Secretariat Y20 South Africa, who represents young entrepreneurs and is also advocating for greater access to various economic opportunities. Thank you so much for your time. Great to have you on the program. So we always hear of the saying that the youth is the future of the country. So what does this mean for the youth to be represented at the B20, and why should their voices be amplified at this platform, and why is all of this crucial?
Well, I think, firstly, Africa is the youngest continent in the world, actually. We have the youngest population, so our voices need to be amplified the most. But at the same time, the economy needs to grow somewhere. So when we look at B20, we're looking at Business 20. Business 20 focuses mostly on the biggest corporates globally, but not only globally, but also in South Africa, the leaders of industry. I will name one leader of industry, for example, Naspers. They're heading up the digital and technology side. It's important for the youth to partake in these discussions, especially policy discussions, so that we can also shape the way that we compete with our global partners. We can have access to it, but also it's important for us, I think through Y20, but hopefully even through B20, we can access the youth that don't have access to such policy discussions and move forward and actually create a change so that we can compete with the rest of the globe.
So here's the thing, I've been tracking some of the voices on the ground in the form of what is called voxies in our media context, where we're just gauging and getting a sense of what young people are thinking about the G20, as well as the side events that are currently taking place. And most of the senses is that they feel like, this is just a summit which will be talk shop. These are voices that are talking about them, but not with them. Just how important is it for them to feel like they are part and parcel of what is currently unfolding in the country and what is going to be happening in the next couple of days? And why should they actually be involved?
Well, look, I think, during the Y20 summits, they were given ample chance. I mean, we collaborated with the NYDA, there was civil society there, and they are still happening. We actually having social summit at the moment. So the social summit is currently taking place to actually reach out to the people on the ground. From a business perspective, look, the Youth Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which I'm CEO of, is currently running a few campaigns to actually connect young people within B20. B20 is quite a difficult ticket to score, but we are trying our best. We had a youth investment summit just last month, which we held in the city of Johannesburg, to try and invite innovation, try and bring back business into the city of Johannesburg. So for us, we are trying to bring back business where we can as a Chamber of Commerce and Industry, but also being the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we can actually amplify the voices of South African youth in business.
And speaking of young voices in business, just how do you think young voices influence the global business priorities at the high-level platforms such as this one?
So, I'm on trade and investment, for example. I sit at the Trade and Investment Summit. For us, it is important to try and see how do we add in what we have from a skill sets perspective. How do we partner and how do we collaborate with our counterparts from all over the country or all over the world and Africa? We've just reached, the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Those things play really key roles in actually just transforming and actually changing the landscape of how we do it. On the ground until December, young people have a lot of opportunity to actually hop onto some of these events that partake. We were trying to collaborate with the team to have a trade fair with FNB. Unfortunately, it has been a tough year and it has been a very busy year. But there are the side events where youth there's a call out under Y20 where we called for youth that have activations or have events so that we can support them. There's the same thing if they go to the G20 and B20. B20 has also put a call out for young people that want to have side events and would like presence at the events. I think everyone is just trying to build this bus as we go.
Yeah, and Denise, it's one thing for us to be talking about these opportunities that are available, and it's another for young people to be able to have access to them and be able to reach those lengths that you also talk about. You'd have young people come out and tell you that, there are so many barriers to entry. There's so much red tape for them to access all of those opportunities. Just how can the youth overcome these barriers to entering the various business-related industries?
That's my daily struggle. The youth chamber has, part of the work that we've done, not only through the youth chamber, but also through Y20. Social Summit was meant to lead some of the summits around the country, but also one of the greatest things that the youth chamber has done in collaboration with partners like Salga and partnership with people like Hisense was to actually go into different parts of the country and actually have youth desks and set those up. I would really advise that youth do look at something like go into your local municipality building. That's the first part. NYDA has 42 youth centers in their communities. The city of Johannesburg itself has 12 skill centers and 15 more opportunity centers. These are empty, completely empty. And for us, we've tried to bring in the programming with partners like the CETAs, where young people can learn robotics and innovation and tech every single time. I think the next campaign that we have is literally straight after B20. We're looking at a tech introduction to AI that will be at the opportunity centers and the youth desks across the country. Next year, we're going into local elections. We're partnering with our counterparts at the IEC for a very special campaign, which I can't speak about, but it impacts the youth directly within their communities. But it also creates jobs. I think, we're always trying to find that access where people are because we understand fully that there's no data, and then 5 Rand data can't get you through a digital course. But if we are tapping into the local community hubs or the infrastructure that government has, we're able to activate those. So we've started with a few this year, and we'll just be doing better things. I mean, with Hisense and the team at Hisense just trained 100 young people in creating digital products. And so we'll be leading with the manufacturing as well. It's all tough work, but we have to do it as a youth because if we don't do it, no one will. So that's how we're leading.
I like that we talk about the barriers to entry as well as some of the barriers to access some of these opportunities, which you say are also, something that you face on the day-to-day, which makes everything relatable with young people. Just how are you using your role to ensure that you pay it forward, to ensure that some of these young people, that face difficulties on the day-to-day, at least their burdens are made easier by your role?
So I think the biggest part is the fact that we are still a fairly new chamber. We tried to open a chamber and there wasn't a lot of other chambers, but then it was how do we mobilize everyone else? How do we bring them in? How do we empower them? Because we're struggling ourselves. And this is the exact thing that we bring up every single time when we're in spaces, especially with change makers. The president challenged us beginning of this year and said that we need to build the projects and the programs that we need to do. Since then, we've had the investment summit. We've tried to bring in investors. We've tried to have banks there. And so for us, it's cutting all of the gatekeeping. Honestly, I think, young people face the toughest problems. We're looking at Wi-Fi walls with Hisense within communities. That will at least allow young people to have that. But it's also leading to our marketing campaign because we do need to market ourselves better. But if you were to go to ycci.africa on Instagram, that's the first place. Do DM us. Our job is to connect you to the next person. We connect you to the Johannesburg Youth Chamber. We connect you to the Fourways Youth Chamber. We are in every community in South Africa through their municipal offices and through Salga.
All right.
Our relationship with Salga is really important because Salga has given us a home for every young person in the country who needs a desk and needs a computer.
Right. It seems like we'll need all hands on deck there. Thank you so much for your time. Denise Rapitse is co-head of the Secretariat Y20 South Africa, who represents young entrepreneurs and is advocating for greater access to various economic opportunities.